I'm lying on my stomach under our king-size bed, dust bunnies tickling my nose, trying not to laugh at my own ridiculous plan. At 56 years old, here I am hiding like a teenager, waiting to scare my husband when he comes upstairs. It's Alexander's 27th birthday, and downstairs, our dining room is filled with family and friends celebrating over the elaborate dinner I've spent 2 days preparing. Vincent thinks I came up to get the watch I supposedly forgot to wrap, the vintage Omega that Alexander has been eyeing for months. What Vincent doesn't know is that the watch is already downstairs, hidden in Jacqueline's purse. And I'm up here because after 28 years of marriage, I still like keeping things playful between us. The floorboards creak somewhere down the hallway. I press my hand over my mouth to stifle a giggle, my heart racing with that silly excitement you feel when you're about to surprise someone you love. Through the gap between the dust ruffle and the floor, I can see our bedroom door from this angle. Any second now, Vincent will walk through, probably checking his phone or loosening his tie, and I'll grab his ankle and watch him jump like he always does when I catch him off guard. But the footsteps that approach aren't quite right. They're lighter, quicker, not Vincent's measured stride that I've known for nearly 3 decades. The door opens and closes with a softness that makes my stomach twist. Someone is being deliberately quiet. I freeze, every muscle in my body suddenly tense. Through the narrow view beneath the bed, I see women's heels, black stilettos I don't recognize, moving across our hardwood floor toward the nightstand. My breath catches in my throat. What is someone doing in our bedroom? During my son's birthday party? I hear the rustle of fabric, the tap of fingernails on a phone screen, and then a woman's voice, low and intimate, says something that makes my blood turn to ice. I put it on speaker, baby. Now we can talk while I pretend I'm in the bathroom. The voice is familiar, but I can't place it immediately. My mind races through the guest list downstairs. Who would be calling from our bedroom? Why would they need privacy during a family celebration? Then I hear my husband's voice coming through the phone speaker, clear as day, and every cell in my body goes rigid. Are you sure nobody's going to notice you're gone? Sylvia's so obsessed with this ridiculous dinner she's organized, she probably hasn't taken her eyes off the presentation for 5 seconds. The woman laughs, a light tinkling sound that I suddenly recognize with crushing clarity. Valerie, the interior designer I hired 6 months ago to redecorate our Manhattan office. The woman I've had coffee with, whose portfolio I praised, whose career I've actively tried to help because she reminded me of myself when I was younger and hungry for success. She's completely clueless, Valerie says, her voice dripping with amusement. Honestly, Vincent, I almost feel sorry for her. She has no idea what's happening right under her nose. I want to move. I want to crawl out from under this bed and confront this woman standing in my bedroom, wearing those expensive heels I now realize my money probably paid for. But I'm paralyzed, my body refusing to obey, because some part of me knows that if I reveal myself now, I'll never hear the truth. And I need to hear the truth, no matter how much it destroys me. 6 more weeks, Vincent says through the speaker, and there's an edge to his voice I've never heard before, something cold and calculated. The lawyer says with the evidence we've been building, she won't be able to prove the money's still legally hers when the divorce goes through. The words hit me like physical blows. Divorce, evidence, money, my money. The consultancy I built from absolutely nothing, working 70-hour weeks while Vincent pursued his architectural dreams that never quite materialized into the success he'd promised. The $8 million company that I created through sheer determination and intelligence, the business that supported our lifestyle, our children's education, our beautiful home in Greenwich, our art collection, our everything. They're talking about stealing from me. 47,000 so far, Valerie says, and I can hear the satisfaction in her voice. Once we hit 100,000, we'll have enough to start fresh in Portugal like we planned. The apartment in Lisbon is still available. I checked this morning. Portugal. They've been planning a life together. A whole future that doesn't include me, funded by money they're siphoning from my accounts. I think about the financial statements I've been too busy to review carefully over the past few months, trusting Vincent to handle the household accounts like he's always done. How stupid I've been. How incredibly, pathetically stupid. Sylvia is so predictable, Vincent continues, and the contempt in his voice is like acid on my skin. She thinks throwing money at everything makes her important. She thinks being the breadwinner makes her powerful. But she has no idea she's losing the one thing that actually matters, the one thing her precious money can't buy. You, Valerie purrs. She's losing you, and she doesn't even see it coming. My husband laughs, that intimate laugh I thought belonged only to private moments between us, to lazy Sunday mornings and late nights when the kids were finally asleep. He's sharing it with her. With this woman young enough to be his daughter, this woman I welcomed into my professional life, my office, my space. 28 years I've played the supportive husband, Vincent says, and now his voice is bitter, poisonous. 28 years of living in her shadow, being introduced as Sylvia Lancaster's husband instead of Vincent Lancaster the architect. 28 years of watching her sign checks and make decisions and act like she built everything we have while I was just some accessory to her success story. The pain in my chest is so intense I have to bite down on my own hand to keep from crying out. Is this what he's really thought all these years? Every time I praised his designs, every networking event I organized to help his career, every client I referred his way, was he seeing it as me patronizing him? Diminishing him? You're so much more than that, Valerie says, her voice soothing, manipulative. You're a brilliant artist, Vincent. Your designs are poetry. She never appreciated that because all she understands is profit margins and portfolio management. She's too cold, too calculating to understand what real passion looks like. Cold, calculating. The words sting because I've heard them before, whispered behind my back at industry events by men who couldn't accept that a woman could be both successful and feminine. I never thought I'd hear them from my husband's mistress. I never thought my husband would agree with them. Val, there's something else, Vincent says, and his tone shifts to something almost nervous. We need to talk about timing. Are you absolutely certain about— I'm pregnant, Valerie interrupts, and the world tilts sideways beneath me. 6 weeks. I was going to wait until after the party to tell you in person, but I can't hold it in anymore. We're having a baby, Vincent. The silence that follows seems to last forever. I'm holding my breath, my lungs burning, my heart pounding so hard I'm sure they can hear it through the phone. Pregnant. She's carrying my husband's child while I'm downstairs hosting a birthday party for the son we created together, the family we built together, the life I thought was real. You're sure? Vincent finally asks, his voice tight. Completely sure. I took 3 tests. Vincent, I know this complicates things, but maybe it's a sign. Maybe this is the universe telling us to stop waiting and just do it. Leave her, file for divorce, start our real life together. Jesus, Val. He exhales sharply. This changes everything. We need to accelerate the timeline. The sooner I can get away from that woman, the better. I don't want my child growing up watching me pretend to be in love with someone I can barely stand to touch anymore. Can barely stand to touch. Last night he held me. Last week we made love. This morning he kissed my forehead and told me the birthday dinner would be perfect because I always make everything perfect. Were those all lies? Every touch, every kiss, every moment of tenderness over the past months, years maybe, were they all performance? I hear Valerie moving, her heels clicking across the floor. I should get back downstairs before someone notices. God, I can't wait until we don't have to sneak around anymore. I'm so tired of watching you play the devoted husband to that woman. Soon, Vincent promises. Very soon, you'll be the only Mrs. Lancaster that matters. The call ends. Valerie's heels move toward the door, and I think she's leaving. Think I'll finally be able to breathe again, to process this nightmare I've stumbled into. But then the footsteps stop. I hear her moving back toward the bed, toward the nightstand, and my phone, which I left charging there, suddenly lights up with a notification. The screen illuminates the darkness under the bed, and in that glow, I see Valerie's face as she bends down, as our eyes meet through the gap beneath the bed frame. For 3 seconds that feel like 3 hours, we just stare at each other. I see the shock in her eyes turn to panic, then to something else, something almost like triumph. She knows I heard everything. She knows I know. And part of her, I can see it in that calculating expression, part of her is glad. She straightens up, and I hear her voice, shaky, but trying for innocent. Sylvia, are you under there? There's no point hiding anymore. No point pretending. I've already lost everything. My dignity, my marriage, my trust. The only thing I have left is the truth, and I'm not going to let her take that from me too. I crawl out from under the bed, my silk dress wrinkled and covered in dust, my carefully styled hair falling loose from its pins, my makeup probably smeared. I stand up slowly, facing this woman who's been playing me for a fool, who's been sleeping with my husband and stealing my money and planning a whole life on the ashes of mine. Every word, I say, my voice surprisingly steady despite the earthquake happening inside my chest. I heard every single word. Valerie's face drains of color, but I don't give her the satisfaction of seeing me break down. Not yet. Not in front of her. She opens her mouth, probably to offer some pathetic explanation or denial, but I hold up my hand. Don't, I say quietly. Don't insult me further by trying to lie your way out of what I just heard. She closes her mouth, her eyes darting toward the door like she's calculating whether she can escape. But we both know she can't run from this. Not anymore. How long have you known? She asks, and there's something almost defiant in her voice now, like she's already decided that being caught means she doesn't have to pretend anymore. I found out about 30 seconds before you did, I tell her. I was hiding under the bed to surprise my husband. Funny how life works, isn't it? I was planning a silly romantic gesture, and instead I discovered my entire marriage is a lie. The words come out bitter, sharp, and I see her flinch. Good. I want her to feel even a fraction of what I'm feeling right now. But she recovers quickly, lifting her chin with that confidence that I used to admire, that I thought came from professional competence. Now I see it for what it really is, the arrogance of someone who thinks she's entitled to take whatever she wants. Sylvia, you have to understand, she starts, but I cut her off again. I don't have to understand anything. Get out of my bedroom. Get out of my house. And if you're smart, you'll be gone before I come back downstairs. She hesitates, probably weighing whether to try some manipulation tactic, but something in my face must convince her I'm serious. She walks to the door, those expensive heels clicking against my floor, and pauses with her hand on the doorknob. He never loved you the way you thought he did, she says, cruel and precise. He told me that months ago. You were just too blind to see it. Then she's gone, and I'm alone in my bedroom, surrounded by the life I thought I'd built. The California king bed with its custom Italian linens that I chose, the antique dresser I bought at auction in Paris, the framed photos on the wall showing our family over the years, Vincent and me on our wedding day, both of us so young and full of hope, the kids as babies, as toddlers, as teenagers, family vacations to the Amalfi Coast, to Napa Valley, to the Swiss Alps. All of it feels like evidence of a crime now, evidence of my own stupidity. I need to understand how I got here. I need to trace back the steps that led me to this moment, hiding under my own bed while my husband and his pregnant mistress planned to rob me blind and start a new life together. I met Vincent when I was 28 and he was 31. I was working as a junior consultant at a mid-sized financial firm in Manhattan, putting in brutal hours, surviving on coffee and ambition. He was a young architect who'd just won a small but prestigious award for a community center design. We met at a gallery opening in Soho, one of those events where creative types and finance people mingled awkwardly over cheap wine and overpriced cheese. He was magnetic, charming in a way that felt effortless, passionate about his work in a way that made my analytical career seem cold by comparison. He talked about buildings like they were living things, about space and light and human experience. I was used to men in my industry who saw me as either a threat or a novelty. Vincent saw me as fascinating. We got married 18 months later. I was pregnant with Alexander within the year. Those early years were hard financially. Vincent's architectural vision was brilliant, but not particularly commercial. He wanted to design affordable housing with dignity, community spaces that served actual people, buildings that made cities more human. Noble goals, but they didn't pay the bills. Meanwhile, my career was taking off. I'd moved to a boutique consultancy and was bringing in significant clients, building a reputation as someone who could make wealthy people even wealthier through smart portfolio management. I told myself it didn't matter that I was the primary breadwinner. I told myself that Vincent's contribution to our family was equally valuable, just different. He was the creative one, the artist, the dreamer. I was the practical one, the provider, the foundation that made his dreams possible. When did that narrative start to rot? When did my supporting his career become, in his mind, me diminishing him? I think back to 5 years ago, when I finally took the leap and started my own consultancy. I'd been planning it for years, building my client base, establishing my reputation, waiting for the right moment. Victoria had just started college, Alexander was in law school, and I finally had the bandwidth to build something truly mine. Lancaster Wealth Management. I named it after our family name, after us. I thought Vincent would be proud, and he said he was. He threw me a launch party, invited all his architect friends, made a toast about how brilliant and unstoppable I was. But looking back now, I remember the tightness around his eyes, the forced quality of his smile. I remember how he drank too much that night and made a comment about how at least one Lancaster was making a name for themselves in their field. I laughed it off as self-deprecating humor. What an idiot I was. The business exploded. Within 2 years, I had clients with portfolios in the tens of millions. Within 4 years, my own net worth had climbed to $8 million. I bought this house in Greenwich, upgraded from our comfortable but modest place in Stamford. I hired staff. I expanded the office. I achieved everything I'd dreamed of professionally. And apparently, I lost my husband in the process. 6 months ago, I decided the office needed renovation. The space was functional but not impressive, and I was competing for clients who expected a certain level of sophisticated ambiance. I interviewed several designers, and Valerie Fontaine stood out immediately. She was in her early 40s, recently divorced, rebuilding her career with hunger and determination that reminded me of myself at that age. Her portfolio was gorgeous, her ideas were fresh, and her pricing was reasonable. I hired her. I mentored her. I introduced her to potential clients. I invited her to industry events. When she mentioned she was struggling to break into the high-end residential market, I offered to introduce her to Vincent, thinking they could collaborate on some projects. I literally handed my husband his mistress on a silver platter. They met in April at a networking event I organized specifically to help Vincent's career. I'd rented out a gallery space, invited 24 architects and developers, hired caterers, designed the whole thing to showcase Vincent's work and give him access to people who could actually commission his designs. It cost me $12,000. That's where they met. At an event I paid for, designed to help him. Valerie told me later that evening how impressed she was with Vincent's vision, how she could see them working together beautifully. She asked if I'd mind if she reached out to him about potential collaborations. I encouraged her. I gave her his contact information. I probably even told her how talented he was, how underappreciated in the industry. Over the following months, I watched them develop what I thought was a productive professional relationship. Vincent seemed happier, more energized. He was working on a project with Valerie, some boutique hotel renovation in Connecticut. He'd come home talking about design elements and material choices, more animated than I'd seen him in years. I was thrilled. I thought my husband had finally found a project that excited him, a collaborator who appreciated his talent. They were sleeping together, planning to rob me, creating a baby while I celebrated what I thought was his professional renaissance. The signs were all there. I just didn't want to see them. Vincent started going to the gym, losing the 15 pounds he'd been carrying since his 40s. He updated his wardrobe, buying slimmer cut suits and more fashionable shoes. He got a new haircut, started using cologne I didn't buy him. When I commented on the changes, he said he was feeling motivated to take better care of himself, that working with Valerie had reminded him that he still had creative vitality. I believed him. I was happy for him. He started working late more often, having meetings that ran past dinner. He traveled more frequently, supposedly to visit project sites or meet with potential clients. His phone, which used to sit casually on the kitchen counter, started going everywhere with him, even to the bathroom. Classic signs of an affair. Textbook. And I missed every single one because I was too busy running my business, too trusting in the foundation of our 28-year marriage, too naive to believe that the man I'd built a life with could betray me so completely. $47,000. That's what Valerie said they'd stolen so far. I think about my accounts, the household expenses account that Vincent manages, the cash reserves we keep for unexpected costs. $47,000 wouldn't even register as unusual in the regular flow of our finances. They chose that amount carefully, knowing I wouldn't notice, knowing I trusted him completely with access to our money. My money. Money I earned. Money I built through intelligence and hard work and calculated risk. And he's been stealing it to fund a new life with a woman 24 years my junior, a woman who's now carrying his child. I look at myself in the full-length mirror across from our bed. I'm 56 years old. I keep myself in shape, dress well, get regular facials and haircuts. My hair is more silver than blonde now, but I wear it with pride, styled in a sophisticated cut that costs $300 every 6 weeks. I'm attractive for my age, successful, accomplished, but I'm not 42. I'm not young and fertile and full of that dangerous energy that makes men feel like they're still relevant, still desirable, still powerful. Is that what Valerie gave him? The illusion of youth? The fantasy that he was still the promising young architect who won awards and turned heads, instead of the nearly 60-year-old man whose career never quite lived up to its early promise? My phone buzzes on the nightstand. A text from Jacqueline. "Where are you? Alexander is asking about the watch." Alexander, my son. Downstairs, celebrating his 27th birthday with friends and family, completely unaware that his mother just discovered his father is a cheating, stealing liar who's about to blow apart everything we've built together. I can't think about that right now. I can't process what this will do to our children, how it will shatter their understanding of their family, their childhood, their foundation. First, I need to get through the next few minutes. I need to decide what I'm going to do with this information, how I'm going to handle what comes next, and then I'm going to make sure Vincent Lancaster regrets every single choice that brought him to this moment. I take 3 deep breaths, the kind they teach you in meditation classes I never have time to attend. My hands are shaking, and I press them flat against my thighs, feeling the wrinkled silk of my dress, the physical evidence of how far I've fallen in the past 15 minutes. From elegant hostess to woman crawling out from under her own bed, confronting her husband's mistress in her own bedroom. I need to fix my appearance before I go downstairs. I need to look like someone in control, not someone whose world just imploded. In the bathroom, I wash my face, reapply my makeup with steady hands that betray none of the chaos inside me. I change into a different dress, a deep navy silk that makes me look powerful, untouchable. I fix my hair, pin it back into the sleek chignon I'd styled it in earlier. When I look in the mirror, I see Sylvia Lancaster, successful entrepreneur, elegant woman, perfect hostess. No one would guess that my heart is shattered into 1,000 pieces. I text Jacqueline back, "Coming now, had a wardrobe emergency." When I descend the stairs, the sounds of the party wash over me. Laughter, conversation, the clink of wine glasses, Alexander's voice telling some story that has his friends chuckling. Everything sounds normal, familiar, like the soundtrack of a life that no longer exists. I scan the room as I enter. Vincent is standing near the fireplace, drink in hand, talking to his brother Marcus about something, probably architecture or sports or one of the safe topics men discuss at parties. He looks relaxed, happy even, the picture of a content husband and father celebrating his son's birthday. He has no idea I know. No idea his mistress just fled our house in panic. No idea that his carefully constructed double life is about to come crashing down around him. Valerie is nowhere to be seen. She took my advice and left. Smart woman. If she'd stayed, I don't know what I would have done. Jacqueline catches my eye from across the room and makes her way over, her expression concerned. She's known me for 20 years, since before I started my consultancy, back when we were both junior consultants, fighting for recognition in a male-dominated industry. She can read me better than almost anyone. "You okay?" she asks quietly, handing me a glass of champagne. "You look pale." "I'm fine," I lie smoothly. "Just needed a moment." "Where's Alexander?" "Kitchen, arguing with Victoria about something. You know how they are." She studies my face more carefully. "Sylvia, what's wrong? And don't tell me nothing. I've known you too long." I want to tell her. I want to pull her aside and pour out everything I just discovered. Let her outrage and support shore me up against the tsunami of pain threatening to drown me. But this isn't the time. This is Alexander's birthday party, and I will not ruin it for him. I will not make this day about my failing marriage and my husband's betrayal. I have to be strong for a few more hours. I can fall apart later. Later, I tell her quietly. I'll explain everything later. But right now, I need you to help me get through this evening. She searches my eyes, and I see the moment she decides to trust me, to wait for the explanation. Okay, what do you need? Just stay close, and if I give you a signal, I need you to get me out of whatever conversation I'm in. Done. She squeezes my hand, and the simple gesture of friendship almost breaks me. Vincent notices me and crosses the room, that familiar smile on his face, the one I used to think was genuine affection. Now, I see it differently. Now, I wonder how much of our entire marriage has been performance. There you are, he says, leaning in to kiss my cheek. I let him, even though my skin crawls at his touch. I was starting to wonder if you'd gotten lost in our own house. Our house. He says it like he has equal claim, like he contributed equally to the mortgage on this $2 million property that my business paid for. Just had to change, I say lightly. Spilled wine on my other dress. You look beautiful, he says, and his eyes sweep over me with what looks like appreciation. Is that real? Or is he comparing me to Valerie, finding me lacking, counting the days until he can trade me in for a younger model? Thank you, I reply, my voice steady. We should probably bring out Alexander's cake soon. About that, Vincent says, and something in his tone makes me tense. I was thinking we could do the watch presentation first. I know you said you wanted to wait until after dessert, but I think the moment feels right now. Alexander seems really happy, surrounded by friends. It would be a nice surprise. He's so casual about it, so comfortable suggesting changes to the evening I planned meticulously. Does he have any idea how much thought I put into the timing, the flow, the emotional beats of this celebration? Or does he just assume that because it's his son too, his opinion carries equal weight, regardless of who actually organized everything? The watch is in Jacqueline's purse, I hear myself say. I'll get it. I walk away before he can respond, heading toward Jacqueline, who's now talking to Victoria near the windows. My daughter looks radiant tonight, her dark hair swept up, wearing the emerald earrings I gave her for her college graduation. She's laughing at something Jacqueline said, her whole face lit up with joy. This is going to destroy her. Victoria has always been Daddy's girl, always defended Vincent when I pushed too hard about career goals or practical considerations. She sees him as the creative, emotional counterbalance to my analytical pragmatism. When she finds out what he's done, what he's been doing, it's going to shatter her image of him completely. And Alexander, my practical, steady Alexander, who's always been my ally, who understands the value of hard work and integrity because I taught him those values. He's going to be devastated, furious. He's going to want to protect me, and I'm going to have to be strong enough to let him help without letting him see how completely broken I am. Mom, Victoria calls out when she sees me approaching. Jacqueline was just telling me about the resort development she's consulting on in Turks and Caicos. Doesn't that sound amazing? It does, I agree, accepting the purse Jacqueline discreetly hands me. Maybe we should plan a girls' trip there when it's finished. Yes. God, I would love that. Just us, no men, beach and cocktails and spa treatments. Victoria links her arm through mine. You work too hard, Mom. When's the last time you actually took a vacation? Last summer, I think. Portugal. Vincent and I spent 10 days in Lisbon and Porto, staying in beautiful hotels, eating incredible food, touring historic sites. He was attentive and romantic, making love to me in our suite overlooking the Douro River, telling me how much he loved our life together. Was he already sleeping with Valerie then? Was he already planning to take her to Portugal, to show her the same restaurants, the same views? Or did that plan come later, after he'd already betrayed me, but needed somewhere to escape to with his pregnant mistress? Mom, you okay? Victoria's voice pulls me back to the present. Fine, sweetheart. Just thinking about work. I smile at her. Let's go give your brother his present. I call everyone's attention, and the room falls quiet. Alexander looks surprised and pleased, exactly the reaction I was hoping for when I planned this moment. Vincent moves to stand beside me, the united front of parents celebrating their son. I hate him. The realization hits me with stunning clarity. I don't just hate what he's done. I hate him. This man I've shared my life with, my bed, my hopes and dreams and fears. This man who's been systematically betraying and robbing me while I worked 70-hour weeks to build our wealth. I hate him with an intensity that frightens me, but I smile and play my role. Alexander, I begin, my voice warm and maternal. 27 years ago, you made me a mother. You've grown into a man I'm incredibly proud of. Brilliant, principled, kind. You got your father's creativity and heart and hopefully a bit of my work ethic. People chuckle appreciatively. Vincent puts his arm around my waist, the gesture looking natural and affectionate to everyone watching. I don't pull away, even though his touch makes my skin crawl. We wanted to give you something special, I continue, pulling the vintage Omega from its box. This watch belonged to your grandfather, my father. He wore it every day for 40 years. He left it to me when he passed, and I've been saving it for the right moment to pass it on to you. That's not entirely true. My father left me several things when he died 8 years ago. But this watch I actually bought at auction last year, specifically for Alexander's birthday. But the story sounds better this way, carries more emotional weight, connects 3 generations. Alexander's eyes go wide. He knows watches, appreciates craftsmanship and history. He takes it from me carefully, reverently, turning it over in his hands to examine the engraving on the back. Mom, this is... I don't even know what to say. Thank you. He hugs me tightly, and I hold on to him for maybe a second too long, drawing strength from this person I created, this good man who came from my body and my effort. When he pulls back, he turns to Vincent for the expected father-son moment. They embrace, and Vincent says something about being proud, about Alexander becoming his own man. All the right words, all the appropriate sentiments. I wonder if he's thinking about the other child he's about to have, the one with Valerie. Will he be there for that birth? Will he hold that baby and feel the same pride? Or will the novelty wear off once he realizes that babies mean sleepless nights and financial pressure and the loss of freedom? The party continues. People eat cake. Conversation flows. Someone puts on music. Victoria dances with one of Alexander's law school friends, laughing and carefree. Jacqueline stays near me, a steady presence, asking quiet questions with her eyes that I'm not ready to answer yet. Vincent mingles easily, charming guests, telling stories, being the version of himself that everyone likes. The creative soul, the artistic balance to my corporate success, the warm personality that softens my sharp edges. Our friends have always seen us this way. The power couple, the perfect balance, the proof that opposites attract and create something stronger together. It's all been a lie. Around 9:30, my phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. My stomach drops even before I open it. We need to talk. This doesn't have to get ugly. Let's be adults about this. Valerie. Still trying to control the narrative, to manage the situation. Like we're 2 professionals negotiating a business deal, instead of 2 women whose lives have been devastated by the same man's selfishness. I don't respond. There's nothing to say to her. She's not the enemy. Not really. She's a symptom of the disease, not the cause. Vincent is the one who made vows to me. Vincent is the one who's been stealing from me. Vincent is the one who owes me loyalty and honesty and respect. Another text comes through, this time from a number I do recognize. Vincent's phone. Running to the store for more ice. Back in 20. I look up and see that he's already gone, his jacket missing from where it was hanging in the hall closet. He's not going to get ice. We have plenty of ice. He's going to call Valerie, to find out what happened, to strategize about damage control. Let him. Let them both panic and scramble and try to figure out how to handle this. Meanwhile, I'm going to do what I do best. Plan, strategize, and execute. I excuse myself and go to Vincent's study, the room he claims as his creative space, even though he mostly uses it to browse architecture websites and drink expensive scotch that I pay for. I power up his desktop computer. He's not particularly tech-savvy, and I'm betting he hasn't been careful about covering his tracks here. I'm right. His email is already logged in, no password required. I start scrolling through his correspondence with Valerie, and what I find makes my blood boil. Months of messages, going back to May, just weeks after they met. Flirtation that quickly escalated to explicit sexual content. Photos I wish I'd never seen. Detailed plans about their future together. Financial spreadsheets showing exactly how much they've been siphoning from our accounts and where they've been hiding it. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is the casual cruelty in how they talk about me. Sylvia was particularly insufferable today, lecturing me about networking more effectively, as if I need career advice from someone whose only talent is making rich people richer. She bought another expensive piece of art for the house. I swear she thinks she can buy taste and sophistication. It's pathetic. I almost feel sorry for her sometimes. She has no idea how little I respect her, how little anyone really respects her. They smile and take her money and laugh at her behind her back. Email after email, tearing me apart. My appearance, my personality, my work, my values, everything I am, reduced to mockery between two people who've been using me. I screenshot everything. Every email, every photo, every financial document. I forward it all to my personal email account, creating an evidence trail that Vincent won't be able to deny or destroy. Then I dig deeper, looking for bank statements, for proof of exactly where the money went. I find it. A joint account in Vincent's and Valerie's names at a bank I've never heard of. Current balance, $47,312. Every deposit traced back to dates when Vincent made withdrawals from our household account, or when checks were written for business expenses that never actually happened. Embezzlement. That's what this is. Not just infidelity, but actual financial crime. He's been systematically stealing marital assets to fund a life with another woman. I photograph everything with my phone, building my own archive of evidence. Then I go further, searching through his desk drawers, his file cabinet, looking for anything else that might be useful. In the bottom drawer of his desk, I find a folder labeled Legal Consultations. Inside are documents from a divorce attorney, preliminary filings that haven't been submitted yet, a proposed settlement agreement that would give Vincent 50% of everything, despite the fact that he contributed almost nothing to our current wealth. The settlement agreement is particularly galling. It claims that Vincent's creative contributions and domestic support entitle him to half of the $8 million consultancy that I built with my own hands, my own intelligence, my own work. It argues that his career sacrifices to support my ambitions justify a significant portion of our assets. He's been planning this for months, maybe longer. Every smile, every kiss, every moment of apparent affection has been a calculated move in a strategy to rob me of everything I've worked for. I hear the front door open downstairs. Vincent's back from his supposed ice run. I quickly close all the windows on his computer, return the folder to exactly where I found it, and leave the study, careful to make sure everything looks undisturbed. When I return to the party, he's in the kitchen putting a bag of ice into the freezer we didn't need. He sees me and smiles, completely oblivious to the fact that I've just spent the last 20 minutes documenting his betrayal in excruciating detail. "Did I miss anything?" he asks casually. "Not a thing," I reply smoothly. "Everything's perfect, and I mean it, because now I have everything I need to destroy him. Now I know exactly what I'm dealing with. Now I can plan my next move with the same precision and strategic thinking that built my $8 million business." Vincent Lancaster has no idea what's coming for him. He thinks he's been so clever, so careful. He thinks he's going to walk away from this marriage with millions of dollars and start a beautiful new life with his pregnant mistress. He's wrong. The party winds down around 11. Guests start making their departures, thanking me for the lovely evening, complimenting the food, the ambiance, everything I orchestrated to perfection while my world crumbled around me. I smile and accept their praise, kiss cheeks, promise to schedule lunches and coffee dates, play the role of gracious hostess until the very last person leaves. Alexander and Victoria help clean up, loading the dishwasher, putting away leftover food, their easy sibling banter filling the kitchen with warmth that feels increasingly foreign to me. This is maybe the last normal evening we'll have as a family. After tonight, everything changes. "Mom, seriously, thank you," Alexander says, hugging me again before he heads out. "This was perfect. The watch, the dinner, everything. You always make things special." "That's what mothers do," I tell him, holding him tight. "I love you, sweetheart." "Love you too. I'll call you tomorrow." Victoria leaves shortly after, reminding me about brunch next Sunday, making me promise not to cancel because of work like I did last month. I promise, even though I have no idea what my life will look like by next Sunday. Then it's just Vincent and me. He's in the living room, pouring himself a scotch, loosening his tie. The picture of a satisfied man at the end of a successful evening. I watch him from the doorway, this stranger wearing my husband's face, and feel something cold and hard settle in my chest where my heart used to be. "Great party," he says, raising his glass to me. Alexander seemed really moved by the watch. "Good call on that." "It was the right gift," I agree, moving into the room. I pour myself a glass of wine, something to occupy my hands, to give me something to focus on besides the rage building inside me. "You seem tense," Vincent observes. "Everything okay?" This is it. This is the moment where I have to decide how to play this. Do I confront him now, lay out everything I know and watch him scramble to explain? Or do I wait, gather more evidence, build an airtight case before I strike? But then I remember Valerie's heels clicking across my bedroom floor. I remember the casual cruelty in their emails, the mockery, the contempt. I remember I can barely stand to touch her anymore, and something inside me snaps. "Actually, Vincent, everything is not okay." He looks up, surprised by my tone. "What's wrong? Where's Valerie?" The color drains from his face. It's almost comical how quickly he goes from relaxed to panicked. He sets down his scotch with a hand that's suddenly unsteady. "What?" "Valerie Fontaine, the interior designer, your mistress, the woman who's carrying your child. Where is she? I noticed she left the party rather abruptly." He opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. I watch him mentally scrambling for an explanation, a denial, anything that might salvage this situation. "Sylvia, I don't know what you think you—" "Don't!" I cut him off, my voice sharp as a blade. "Don't insult me by lying. I heard everything. Every word of your phone conversation with her. The $47,000 you've stolen. The apartment in Lisbon. The pregnancy. The divorce you're planning. All of it." He stares at me like I've grown a second head. "You heard." "How?" "Does it matter? The point is I know. I know about the affair. I know about the embezzlement. I know you've been planning to leave me while systematically robbing me blind." Vincent sinks into the nearest chair, all his practiced charm evaporating. For a moment he looks old, tired, defeated. Then something shifts in his expression, something defensive and almost aggressive. "You want to know the truth, Sylvia? Fine. Yes, I'm having an affair. Yes, I'm leaving you. And you know what? I should have done it years ago." The words hit like physical blows, even though I was expecting them. Hearing him admit it, claim it with something almost like pride, is somehow worse than discovering it. "I've spent 28 years living in your shadow," he continues, standing now. Anger giving him energy. 28 years being Sylvia Lancaster's husband instead of Vincent Lancaster. 28 years watching you treat me like some pet project, some charity case you're supporting out of the goodness of your heart. "I built my career to support our family," I say, my voice shaking despite my efforts to control it. "Everything I did was for us, for our children, for our future." "No, everything you did was for you," he shoots back. "For your ego, your ambition, your need to prove you're smarter and better than everyone else. You never respected me, Sylvia. You never saw me as an equal. I was just the artistic accessory to your corporate success story." "That's not true, isn't it? When was the last time you actually asked about my work? When was the last time you came to one of my presentations without checking your phone every 5 minutes? When was the last time you introduced me as Vincent Lancaster, award-winning architect, instead of leading with your own accomplishments and mentioning me as an afterthought?" I want to argue, to defend myself, but somewhere in his accusations is a grain of truth I'm not ready to examine. Did I do those things? Did I diminish him without meaning to? Even if all of that were true, I say carefully, it doesn't justify stealing from me. It doesn't justify planning to take half of everything I built when you contributed almost nothing financially. "I contributed everything," he shouts, and I've never heard him this angry, this raw. "I gave up my career for you. I stayed home with the kids when you were traveling for work. I managed the household while you built your empire. I sacrificed my dreams so you could chase yours. No one asked you to do that. I would have supported whatever career choices you made. With your money, your connections, your charity. Don't you get it, Sylvia? I didn't want to be supported. I wanted to be your equal. But you made that impossible. We stand there, two people who've shared a life, staring at each other across an unbridgeable divide. And I realized that somewhere along the way, we stopped being partners and became adversaries. Maybe it was my fault. Maybe it was his. Maybe it was both of us. Too proud and too hurt to admit we were failing. But none of that changes what he's done. You still stole from me, I say quietly. You still lied to me. You still betrayed every vow you made. And you're still going to face consequences for that. Vincent's expression hardens. You want to play it that way? Fine. My lawyer says I'm entitled to half of everything. Community property, Sylvia. Everything you built during our marriage belongs to both of us equally. We'll see what a judge says about that, I reply, my voice cold as ice. Especially when they see the evidence of your embezzlement, your affair, your systematic deception. You're going to make this ugly, aren't you? You already made it ugly, Vincent. I'm just going to make it public. He stares at me for a long moment, and I see something like regret flicker across his face. But it's too late for regret. Too late for apologies or explanations or anything that might salvage what we once had. I'll be staying at Marcus's tonight, he finally says. I'll come back for my things tomorrow. Take whatever's yours, I tell him. Just make sure you're gone before I get home from the office. I don't want to see your face. He nods, grabs his keys, and walks out. The door closes behind him with a soft click that sounds like the end of everything. I stand alone in my living room, surrounded by the remnants of the party, the celebration that was supposed to honor my son, but became the funeral for my marriage. Then I pick up my phone and call Jacqueline. I need you, I say when she answers. Can you come over? I'm already in my car, she replies without hesitation. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Jacqueline arrives in 12 minutes, still wearing the dress from the party, but with her heels traded for sneakers and her designer bag replaced with an oversized tote that I know from experience contains emergency supplies. Wine, chocolate, tissues, and her laptop because she never goes anywhere without the ability to work. She takes one look at my face and pulls me into a hug. That's all it takes. The tears I've been holding back for hours finally break free, and I sob against her shoulder like a child, all the pain and humiliation and rage pouring out in ugly, gasping waves. Vincent's having an affair, I manage to choke out between sobs. With Valerie, she's pregnant. They've been stealing from me, planning to move to Portugal. He just left. Jacqueline doesn't interrupt with questions or empty platitudes. She just holds me, lets me cry until I have nothing left, then guides me to the sofa and disappears into my kitchen. She returns with 2 glasses of wine and the remains of Alexander's birthday cake. Talk, she says simply, settling beside me. Tell me everything. So I do. I tell her about hiding under the bed, about hearing the phone conversation, about confronting Valerie, and then spending the entire party pretending everything was fine while my world collapsed. I tell her about the emails I found, the bank account, the divorce papers Vincent had already drafted. I tell her about the fight we just had, the accusations he threw at me, the way he tried to make his betrayal somehow my fault. She listens without interrupting, her expression growing darker with every detail. When I finally finish, she's silent for a long moment, processing everything. That son of a bitch, she finally says, her voice tight with fury. That absolute piece of garbage. How much did they steal? 47,000 so far. They were planning to get to 100 before making their move. And you have proof of all of this? The affair, the money, everything? Screenshots, photos, forwarded emails. I documented everything before he got home. Jacqueline nods, her expression shifting from sympathetic friend to strategic business partner. This is why I called her. She's not just my best friend. She's one of the smartest, most ruthless negotiators I've ever known. If anyone can help me navigate this disaster, it's her. Okay, she says, pulling out her laptop. First things first, we need to protect your assets. Tomorrow morning, first thing, you're calling your bank and freezing any accounts Vincent has access to. Then you're meeting with your attorney, and I mean a good one, someone who specializes in high net worth divorces with fraud components. I don't even know where to start with that. I do. Remember Catherine Ashford? She handled my divorce 8 years ago, absolutely destroyed Richard in court. She's expensive, but she's worth every penny. I'll text you her number. While Jacqueline types on her laptop, my phone buzzes. A text from Vincent. I'm sorry it came to this. We can handle this divorce civilly if you don't make it personal. I show the message to Jacqueline, who actually laughs. A sharp, bitter sound. Don't make it personal? He's been screwing his mistress in your house, stealing your money, and planning to take half of everything you built, but you're not supposed to make it personal? She shakes her head in disbelief. Men are unbelievable. Another text comes through, this time from an unknown number I suspect is Valerie. Sylvia, I know you're angry, but Vincent and I love each other. What we have is real. I hope you can find it in your heart to let him go gracefully. Fighting this will only hurt everyone, including your children. The audacity is breathtaking. She's lecturing me about hurting my children while carrying on an affair with their father and helping him steal from their mother. She's scared, Jacqueline observes, reading over my shoulder. She knows you have the power to destroy both of them, and she's trying to manipulate you into being the bigger person. Don't fall for it. I won't, I assure her, deleting both messages. But I need to think about Alexander and Victoria. This is going to devastate them. It's going to be hard, Jacqueline agrees. But they're adults, and they deserve to know the truth about who their father really is. You can't protect them from this, Sylvia. And you shouldn't have to sacrifice your own justice to spare their feelings. She's right. But the thought of telling my children that their father is a thief and a liar makes me physically ill. They love him. Victoria especially adores him, sees him as this romantic, creative soul. Learning the truth is going to shatter her. My phone rings. It's Alexander. My heart lurches. Does he know something already? Did Vincent call him? Mom, are you okay? I just got a weird text from Dad saying he's staying at Uncle Marcus's place tonight, and that I should check on you. Of course Vincent would frame it that way, making himself look concerned and caring while setting up a narrative where I'm the unstable one who needs checking on. I'm fine, sweetheart, I tell him, trying to keep my voice steady. Your father and I had an argument, that's all. Nothing for you to worry about. It must have been some argument if he left the house. Mom, what's going on? I close my eyes. I can't tell him over the phone. This conversation needs to happen in person, where I can control the environment, where I can see his face and gauge his reactions. Can you come over tomorrow? Maybe around 10? I need to talk to you and your sister about something important. There's a long pause. You're scaring me. I know, and I'm sorry, but it's not a conversation for tonight. Just trust me, okay? Come over tomorrow and bring Victoria. Okay, he says slowly. But if you need me tonight, I can be there in 20 minutes. I know you can, and I love you for that. But tonight I just need to process some things. Jacqueline's here with me. Tell her to take care of you, he says, and the protective tone in his voice makes my heart ache. He's going to be so angry when he learns the truth. My steady, principled son is going to be furious with his father. After we hang up, Jacqueline refills my wine glass and pulls up a document on her laptop. I'm making you a to-do list, she announces. Actionable steps for the next 48 hours. Because I know you, and I know that when you're in crisis, you function better with a plan. She's not wrong. My entire career has been built on strategic planning, on breaking down complex problems into manageable tasks. Even now, devastated and betrayed, some part of my brain is already trying to organize the chaos into something I can control. Step 1, Jacqueline says, typing. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., you call your bank. Freeze all joint accounts. Transfer your business assets into accounts Vincent can't touch. I'm talking about being absolutely ruthless here, Sylvia. You need to protect yourself financially before he can do any more damage. Won't that look bad in divorce proceedings? Like I'm hiding assets? You're not hiding anything. You're protecting your legitimate business interests from someone who's already proven he'll steal from you. Catherine will know how to frame it, but you need to move fast before Vincent realizes you're playing hardball. Step 2, she continues. 10 a.m., you meet with Catherine Ashford. I'm texting her tonight to give her a heads up. You bring all the evidence you collected, every email, every photo, every financial document. Let her build the case for fraud and embezzlement alongside the divorce. Can they actually prosecute him criminally for taking money from joint accounts? Depends on how the accounts were structured and how he took the money. But even if it doesn't rise to criminal charges, it's absolutely relevant in the divorce settlement. A judge is not going to look kindly on a spouse who systematically stole marital assets to fund an affair. She keeps typing, building out the list, and I feel some of my panic receding. This is familiar territory. This strategic planning, this problem-solving approach. I can do this. I can survive this. Step 3, Jacqueline says. You need to secure the house, change the locks, get a security system if you don't already have one. I don't think Vincent would do anything crazy, but better safe than sorry. And it sends a clear message that he's not welcome here anymore. He said he's coming back tomorrow for his things. Fine. You can arrange a supervised time for him to collect his personal belongings, but he doesn't get keys anymore. This is your house, Sylvia. You paid for it. Don't let him treat it like he has equal claim. My phone buzzes again. Another text from Vincent. Please don't do anything rash. We can work this out like adults. I don't want to hurt you any more than I already have. The phrasing is so carefully constructed, so designed to make him sound reasonable, and me potentially unstable. Don't do anything rash. Like protecting my own assets from someone who's been stealing from me is rash. Like defending myself is somehow unreasonable. He's already trying to control the narrative, I observe, showing Jacqueline the message. Of course he is. That's what cheaters do. They get caught, and suddenly they're concerned about being civilized and not making things difficult. Ignore him. Better yet, block him. All communication should go through lawyers now. I can't block him completely. We have children together. There will be logistics to manage. Then he can email you about logistics. But these manipulative text messages trying to make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. Those you don't need to engage with. She's right. I block Vincent's number, feeling a small surge of satisfaction as I do it. It's a tiny act of control in a situation where I felt completely powerless. We spend the next hour going through my financial records, identifying every account Vincent has access to, every asset that needs protecting. Jacqueline makes notes, asks sharp questions, helps me organize information in a way that will be useful for my attorney. Around 1 a.m, my phone rings from a number I don't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answer. Sylvia? It's Marcus, Vincent's brother. I'm sorry to call so late, but Vincent showed up here pretty upset. He told me you two are separating. We are, I confirm, my voice neutral. Marcus and I have always gotten along well enough, but he's Vincent's brother first. I need to be careful about what I say. He's saying some things that... Look, I don't want to get in the middle of this, but I feel like I'm not getting the whole story. He made it sound like you just suddenly decided you wanted a divorce. Is that what he told you? More or less. He said you've been growing apart, that you've been working too much, that you've made him feel unappreciated. But Sylvia, I was at that party tonight. You two seemed fine. So either you're the world's best actress, or there's more to this story. I make a split-second decision. Marcus deserves to know the truth, at least the basics. And if Vincent is already building his victim narrative, I need people who know what actually happened. Your brother has been having an affair, I say quietly, with the interior designer I hired from my office. They've also been stealing money from our accounts to fund their relationship. I found out tonight. That's why he left. The silence on the other end of the line is deafening. Jesus Christ, Marcus finally breathes. Sylvia, I had no idea. He didn't tell me any of that. He made it sound like you were being unreasonable about his friendship with some colleague. It's not a friendship. She's pregnant with his child. They were planning to move to Portugal together. I'm going to kill him, Marcus says, and he sounds like he means it. That's stupid, selfish. I'm so sorry, Sylvia. I'm so incredibly sorry. It's not your fault. He's my brother. I should have, I don't know, noticed something, said something. How long has this been going on? Since at least May, based on the emails I found. Maybe longer. Marcus swears creatively for a solid 30 seconds. What can I do? How can I help? The question surprises me. I expected family loyalty to trump everything else, expected Marcus to make excuses for Vincent or try to mediate. Just don't let him play the victim, I say. Don't let him rewrite history and pretend this is somehow my fault for working too hard or not appreciating him enough. He made choices. He needs to own them. He will, Marcus promises. I'm going to have a very frank conversation with my brother about accountability and consequences. And Sylvia? If you need anything at all, you call me. I mean that. We hang up, and I feel marginally better. At least one person in Vincent's family knows the truth now. At least I'm not completely alone in this. Jacqueline is watching me with a small smile. See? You're not as isolated as you think. You have people on your side. People who know your worth and won't let Vincent gaslight his way out of responsibility. I'm scared, I admit. Not of the divorce itself, but of what comes after. Of rebuilding my life at 56. Of being alone. You won't be alone, Jacqueline says firmly. You have your kids, your friends, your career, and Sylvia? You're one of the strongest people I know. You built an $8 million business from scratch. You raised 2 incredible children. You've already proven you can do hard things. This is just another challenge, and you're going to face it the same way you faced everything else, with intelligence, dignity, and absolute determination to win. She stays until almost 3 a.m, until we've exhausted every planning session, every contingency, every possible scenario. When she finally leaves, I walk through my house, this beautiful space that suddenly feels empty and cold. In the bedroom, I strip the sheets from the bed where Vincent slept beside me just last night. I bag them up and carry them to the garage. Tomorrow, I'll buy new sheets, new pillows, everything fresh and untainted by his presence. Then I lie down on the bare mattress and let myself cry one more time. Not for Vincent, not for the marriage we had, but for the version of myself who woke up this morning thinking she had a stable life, a loving husband, a secure future. That woman is gone. Tomorrow, I become someone new, someone harder, wiser, less trusting, someone who will never again hide under her own bed, waiting to surprise a man who doesn't deserve her. Tomorrow, the fight begins. 3 months later, I'm sitting in my attorney's office watching Vincent sign the divorce settlement agreement. His hand shakes slightly as he scrawls his signature across each page, and I feel nothing. No satisfaction, no sadness, nothing but a cool detachment that would have frightened me 6 months ago, but now feels like armor. Catherine Ashford, my attorney, slides the documents across the table with the efficiency of someone who's done this 1,000 times. She's exactly what Jacqueline promised, ruthless, brilliant, and expensive. Worth every penny of her $400 hourly rate. That's everything, Catherine says, her voice crisp and professional. Mr. Lancaster, you have 72 hours to vacate the Greenwich property. All personal belongings not removed by that deadline become Mrs. Lancaster's property to dispose of as she sees fit. Vincent's attorney, a tired-looking man named Porter, who clearly knows he's on the losing side of this battle, nods wearily. Vincent himself won't look at me. He's aged 10 years and 3 months, his face drawn and haggard, his expensive clothes hanging slightly loose on a frame that's lost weight from stress. Good. The settlement is nothing like what he'd hoped for. Instead of the 50-50 split his preliminary filings demanded, he's walking away with almost nothing. The house stays with me. The business stays with me. Our investment portfolio stays with me. He gets his personal possessions, his car, and a one-time payment of $200,000, which Catherine structured as a grace payment, rather than anything he was entitled to. More importantly, he's repaying every cent of the $47,000 he stole, plus interest and penalties. The criminal charges I could have pressed were dropped in exchange for full restitution and his agreement to these divorce terms. Catherine called it leverage. I call it justice. The restraining order remains in effect, Catherine continues, addressing Vincent's attorney, since Vincent still won't make eye contact with me. Mr. Lancaster is not to contact Mrs. Lancaster except through legal counsel regarding matters related to their adult children. Any violation will result in immediate legal action. The restraining order was necessary after Vincent showed up at my office 6 weeks ago, drunk and belligerent, demanding to talk to me about salvaging something from the wreckage. Security escorted him out, but not before he made a scene in front of my staff and several clients. Catherine filed the restraining order the next day. We understand, Porter says quietly. He looks almost sympathetic. I wonder if he's advised Vincent to take this deal, to accept the reality that stealing from your wife to fund an affair with your pregnant mistress doesn't exactly endear you to family court judges. Vincent finally speaks, his voice hoarse. Can I at least ask how the kids are? I consider not answering. The restraining order doesn't prevent me from speaking to him. It prevents him from contacting me. but Catherine gives me a slight nod, indicating it's safe to respond. They're fine, I say, my voice cool and even. Alexander passed the bar exam. Victoria got accepted into that design fellowship in Milan she applied for. They're both moving forward with their lives. What I don't say is that Alexander hasn't spoken to his father since the day I told him and Victoria the truth. What I don't say is that Victoria cried for 3 days straight, then blocked Vincent's number and told me she needed time before she could even think about a relationship with him. What I don't say is that both of my children saw the man they thought was their father for who he really is, and they chose me. Vincent's face crumples slightly at this information, and I see genuine pain there. Too little, too late. Tell them I love them, he says quietly. Tell them yourself, I reply. When and if they're ready to hear from you. That's not my responsibility anymore. Catherine stands, signaling that this meeting is over. Porter helps Vincent gather the documents, and they leave without further conversation. Through the window of Catherine's office, I watch Vincent walk to his car, shoulders slumped, the picture of defeat. I should feel triumphant. I should feel vindicated. Instead, I just feel tired. You did well, Catherine says, pouring us both coffee from the service in her office. I know this wasn't easy. It was necessary, I correct her. Easy would have been rolling over and giving him what he wanted to avoid conflict, but that wouldn't have been justice. No, it wouldn't have. She hands me the coffee. What are you going to do now? It's a question I've been asking myself for 3 months. What do I do with this new life I've been forced into? Who am I without the identity of wife, without the marriage I thought defined half of who I was? I'm going to keep building my business, I say. I'm planning an expansion into the European market, actually. Victoria's fellowship in Milan seemed like a sign. I'm thinking of opening an office there, spending more time in Europe, running towards something new instead of away from something old. Catherine observes approvingly. That's healthy. I'm also going to therapy, I admit, because apparently hiding under your bed and discovering your husband's affair is the kind of trauma that requires professional processing. Catherine laughs, a genuine sound of amusement. I would imagine so. For what it's worth, you handled this entire situation with more grace than most people could manage. You protected yourself, you protected your assets, and you didn't let emotion override strategy. That takes real strength. I think about the night I discovered Vincent's betrayal, about crying on Jacqueline's shoulder, about the rage and pain and humiliation that threatened to drown me. I think about the moments I wanted to give up, to accept whatever scraps he was willing to leave me just to make the pain stop. But I didn't. I fought. I used every skill I'd developed building my business, every strategic instinct I'd honed over decades in finance, and I won. What happened to Valerie? I ask, curious despite myself. Catherine's expression turns predatory, the look of a shark scenting blood. She terminated the pregnancy 2 weeks after you filed for divorce. Apparently, once she realized Vincent was going to be broke, a baby suddenly seemed less appealing. They broke up shortly after. Last I heard, she moved to California. Career change, I think. Real estate. The information should bring me satisfaction. But instead, I just feel sad. Sad for the baby who never got a chance. Sad for the 3 lives that were destroyed by selfishness and poor choices. Sad for the naive woman I was 3 months ago, who thought hiding under a bed to surprise her husband was the height of romantic spontaneity. That woman is gone. In her place is someone harder, wiser, less trusting, but more authentic. Someone who knows her own worth and won't accept less than she deserves. Someone who can stand alone and be complete. I leave Catherine's office and drive to Jacqueline's house. She's waiting on her porch with a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses. Is it done? She asks as I climb out of my car. It's done. She pops the cork and pours, handing me a glass. To new beginnings? To second chances, I counter. To discovering you're stronger than you thought, to building a life on your own terms. We clink glasses and drink, and the champagne tastes like freedom. My phone buzzes, a text from Alexander. Mom, just wanted to check in. Love you, proud of you. I show it to Jacqueline and she smiles. See? You didn't just survive this. You showed your kids what dignity and strength look like. That's worth more than any settlement agreement. She's right. Victoria and Alexander watched me face betrayal and choose justice over bitterness, strategy over emotion, my own worth over false peace. They saw me refuse to be a victim, refuse to accept blame for someone else's choices, refuse to settle for less than I deserved. That night, I sleep in my house alone for the first time in 28 years. The new sheets are crisp and cool. The bedroom redecorated with colors I chose, artwork I selected. There are no compromises here, no accommodations for someone else's taste or preferences. It's just mine, all of it. The house, the business, the future. I think about that silly plan to hide under the bed, to surprise Vincent with a playful scare on our son's birthday. How that moment of innocent spontaneity became the catalyst for discovering a truth I needed to know, no matter how much it hurt. Sometimes the worst moments of our lives are also the most necessary. Sometimes we have to crawl through darkness to find our way to light. Sometimes we have to lose everything we thought we wanted to discover what we actually need. I am 56 years old. I am successful, intelligent, and financially independent. I am a mother, a friend, a businesswoman. I am flawed and human and capable of terrible judgment, but also of incredible resilience. I am enough, all by myself, without a partner to complete me or validate me. I am enough. And tomorrow, when I wake up in this bed I no longer have to share, I'm going to start building the next chapter of my life. One where I trust my instincts, protect my peace, and never again hide under my own bed waiting for someone else to make me feel valued. I've learned my lesson. The hard way, the painful way, but definitively, I am Sylvia Lancaster, and I am just getting started.